basically establishing that it's your relationship with the divine that serves as the kind of conduit in which you manifest your creation. And everyone's relationship with the divine is ultimately utterly unique. It's
Yeah.
it's your personal individual connection with the infinite source of all. And just as you have free will to create as you wish or engage in whatever other processes you wish as a living sentient being, so too is how you choose your relationship with spirit. And essentially, you just as we touched upon last time, where we're regardless of how conscious or aware we are of the creative process and our role in it, we are still always creating all the time. The same goes for your relationship with spirit, because even if you're not consciously fully aware of it, you have established subconsciously and on the multiple levels of yourself a relationship with the divine.
Right.
Okay, so this can become a deliberate, conscious thing, the relationship with the divine, a very overt process that can serve you in the way that best serves you. Because again, yes, we are all of the unified field of consciousness, source consciousness. It's all one. We are also individuated, and we have our own wills and all own ways of being, our own preferences, everything, etc., and so forth. So
Yes.
the relationship is going to be utterly unique. And I'm wondering, Nico, is when did you kind of recognize the paramount, how paramount relationship with divinity is?
Just for clarity, because I mean, you definitely said a mouthful, and I mean, it's all, again, what do you know? What what I can't pick out which facet is most important or most imperative. For me, it all came with this awareness, I think, probably back in, I want to say probably 2007, 2008. I'd been practicing for a while at that point, but my relationship with the divine was one that was very much still more like the fool in the tarot, just sort of letting myself be kind of led and pushed here and there. The idea of learning my function, and when I say function, I don't necessarily mean purpose, but function as in my relationship to the divine as being a part of this huge universal body, was revealed then. When we think about things like our personal functions, soul groups, soul family, spiritual agreements, higher self priorities, and things like that, I think that we have, these collective functions, and then our individual functions can be, intimated from them. Not intimated, but, can be inferred, excuse me, from them. And so I realized around that time that I kind of function very much like a white blood cell, almost like a part of a universal lymphatic system. And so for me, that's when I started to realize what was always the strongest when it came to how I apply my skills, how I apply my abilities. When I am putting forth my skills and abilities to really live the function, that unique expression of being a singular white blood cell, fractal of source in a greater system, that would always get the most support. And when we think about, okay, well, what does a white blood cell do for us? It's very much what you see a path watcher do. I just didn't have that name at the time. I didn't really coin that term at the time. It was, you're there to essentially maintain the health, the wellness, and the balance of the environment, the space, the realm that you are in, but not necessarily functioning as a healer. You are not going in as one that is providing nourishment. The white blood cells do not deliver oxygen, right? They don't process or deliver nutrients. What they do is they transform, they transmute, they neutralize anything that would be considered toxic or malformed or compromising or destructive to the body, in its function and form, that would make it maybe deviate from its natural process or its most healthy or most optimum performance, as well as really finding that when it came to even assisting other people, I was doing a lot of house clearings, a lot of house cleansings, spirit clearings and things like that back then, going in, haunted houses, all of that. I've got tons of stories about all kinds of paranormal activity and things like that that I've always wanted to share on YouTube, but just the time and the space never showed up. That's when I really understood my path and function, but I don't think you really know that right away. I think there has to be a period of exploration, of self-discovery and self-examination and application of your skills, right? Walking the path. You walk the path before you know. There's a really big part of the process where you have to learn how the body works before, or as rather, you come to understand your function in it. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, Nico. And what really stood out to me in everything you said was how you highlighted that when the awareness of your relationship to the divine became conscious, when you became aware of your direct relationship with spirit, it unveiled to you in so many ways a deeper understanding of yourself. I mean, your purpose, function, higher callings, all these opened up to you once you became aware that you have a relationship with spirit and what it entailed. So, again, if you gain clarity and understanding of who and what you are through the awareness of your active relationship with the divine that is
Right.
always happening all the time, just like you're always creating all the time,
Yes.
you basically unlocked, it was like an achievement unlock. Okay,
Yes.
now
That's a
you
good
can
way to look at it.
understand your place, purpose, and function to a greater degree and apply it in a more effective manner because you're now aware of and understand your relationship to divinity. And again, the beautiful thing is you, whatever the relationship is now, especially with that awareness, you totally created and you totally met the universe on your terms. Am I correct?
Yes, in a manner of speaking, because I mean, when you think about it, how you form a relationship with anything, anyone, it's something that is there, right? You notice a chemistry, you notice a connection, you notice a bond or a resonance. And this does not, have to be a particular type of relationship, because I feel that there is no type of relationship that doesn't go through this process. There is the awareness of the connection, there's the awareness of the relation. I mean, am I aware I have a relationship with the divine? Yeah, I've had that awareness my whole life. What that relationship is, what that function is, what type of relationship it is, that is something that, that took time to really develop. And then when I look at it, it's like, okay, well, I am the universe, right? I am a fractal of source, great spirit, God, however you want to term, in form. What did source or God have in mind for my experience? And in order to experience life as Nico, I'm going to set up this person or this fractal of myself, and create around it that form and that function in order to see it expressed. What would happen when dropped into this environment, born in 1985, or this part of the world, or in, this community of people. And then I'm going to let the imperative, or the source priority, the oversoul priority, and the higher self priority all get explored through this new setup I've created. I wasn't aware of the setup, but I was aware of the creator. When did you? realize your connection to the divine?
I have to say that the fully conscious connection of it did not occur till I was 30 in 2012. Uh, that that I considered the culmination of my awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And once I became fully aware of my being, all the connections also came into my awareness. But again, it was more of like, oh, you're back. I didn't. Well, no, that's the wrong way to put it. It wasn't like I was ever disconnected or left. I just my focal point of awareness wasn't shared with the connection. But I've always been connected to it. That's just my nature. There's no disconnecting.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Morningstar may want to do his best to be completely separate from creation, but his eternal conundrum is that he's inevitably a part of creation.
Yeah.
He's not a different thing. He can make a whole different universe all he wants. It's still of the creation.
Right. It's
So
still
the
with him.
totality. So yeah, I would say it was 30. With the full conscious awareness of the connection and these kind of fluent understandings of the higher, deeper machinations that do govern reality. And I say govern; it's not dominate or rule or picky or subordinate. It's none of those words. It's literally govern.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, there are different, again, we have all of these different types of expressions, these different types of beings performing all kinds of different functions. When we say governance, it's not lordship. It's more almost like a stewardship or a custodial type of capacity. I'm a function in this function.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the 2012 awakening for me, I've always on a level recognized my role in creating my reality. It's just then I really, my eyes were really open about it,
Yeah.
and that's allowed me to, for the most part, create a much more harmonious relationship with the universe. But I've always gotten along with the universe. The universe has had my back. I mean, I'm an integral part of it, just like
Yes,
you,
you
just like
are.
everybody else. I mean, I've always been aware of that. But the depth and breadth of the connection that didn't become conscious to me until 2012. And I get the sense that your relationship is always evolving. It's not a fixated thing with the universe.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think that there would be much of a point to try and find a singular function or a singular purpose and then just sort of go on autopilot. I think that that's something that um, can be a very flawed approach to life, a flawed approach to this reality experience that actually defeats the purpose of it. Believe it or not, finding a singular purpose defeats the purpose of life.
Finding a singular purpose defeats the purpose of life because it seemingly embraces an excessive and unnecessary limitation
Right.
upon yourself. And again, we already know the inherent limitations. It's not necessary to add more to it. You're free to do so if you choose, but it's not necessary. And
Right.
really, it's important to know that you may not have the best relationship with the universe right now. Okay? Examine your relationship with everything, including yourself. You are a part of the universe too. And yeah, if we're getting miserable because the rainstorm came, or we stubbed our toe, or that's annoying. But are we cursing at the universe? Are we yelling at things? Are we annoyed by everything?
Hmm.
What is your current relationship? If it's that toxic, well, what is that serving? And if it's serving something that doesn't ultimately equate to your growth and well-being, you might want to consider altering that relationship because it's always available for change. The universe is willing to meet you in pretty much any shape, any way, shape, or form, as long as you're willing to do so. That's all it cares about. And if you're worried that maybe you made some mistakes or caused chaos and caused problems, even dare I say traumas, you can always still reframe your relationship with the universe at any moment. At any moment, you decide your relationship.
That whole idea of there's no alteration. that's a very limited lower ego perspective. When you talk about things like, okay, people feeling perhaps that they can't change their relationship with the universe or change their relationship with themselves, which is, again, pretty much the same thing. It's because on that lower human perspective, there is this idea that no, it's everything, you've got a permanent record. I feel that most people who can't forgive themselves are people that often can't forgive other people, and so, and therefore they can't really understand the totality of transformation, of transmutation, of
Yeah, I
an
couldn't
ever
agree with you
evolving.
more there, Nico. I mean, one's relationship with self is going to be mirrored in the relationship with the universe for the most part, and vice versa.
Yes. And I think that we all have to be able to sort of look and see, am I, as you put it very well, am I engaging in a toxic relationship with the universe or not? I think that when I think of a toxic relationship with the universe, I mean, I work online. I've seen people create a parent-child relationship out of it, which I think is very unhealthy. Or some people, only communicate with the universe to leave a bad Yelp review, or it's you. You learning how to communicate with you is the way to have the healthiest relationship possible. And yeah, you're on an adventure. Yeah, you're on a quest. Yeah, you're going to have a personal journey that's going to have its fair share of hurdles and obstacles and puzzles. But that's part of it. I think that when we infantilize ourselves or allow ourselves to remain infantilized, we become the toxic influence in that universal relationship. We have to pay attention to where the tendency to infantilize ourselves may come from and clear it. And if we get a God complex and go the other direction, we are still creating a toxic relationship with the universe, because the people who get the God complex have a tendency to do more of that anthropomorphic, or have more of that anthropomorphizing tendency, where they can only create what they can conceive. And most of those people don't have a very big imagination, and a lot of their complex is typically fueled by insecurity, which shows up as something like greed, or it shows up as arrogance, or it shows up as control, or that excessive need that shows up in the form of an excessive hunger or excessive thirst that will never be quenched. So, I mean, again, check your relationship with the universe. How are you interacting? How are you sharing yourself with it? I may have gone a little off road there.
Well, I mean, if one isn't completely sure, well, I don't know what type of relationship I want with the universe, or I don't know how to relate to, if the I don't knows start pouring through, which you inevitably deal with when it comes to relationship with the universe and creation, okay, well, I mean, this is where I kind of tweak the golden rule a little bit.
Hmm.
Oh, and this is just a suggestion. One, relate to the universe however you choose. I kind of go with a baseline template of do unto others, do unto the universe as as they would have you do unto them, or as the universe would have you do unto it. Okay, not do unto others as they would have onto you, or whatever the original quote is. My spin is do unto others as they would have you do to them. And if you relate to the universe in this way, that brings with it a sense of reverence, appreciation, and sacredness in all things. Because the other, and I say other in quotes because everything's unified, the other is probably not going to want some malignant, infantile connection with you. It's probably going to want a soulful, deep, and fulfilling connection. And I'm wondering what you think about that, and maybe how you would clarify or modify, expand upon that.
I don't know if I can. I think it's perfect. That makes the most sense to me. What would the other desire as a reflection or a response to whatever circumstances occurring. What would be the highest interest of all concerned, in addition to what exactly would be desired. I like that because it makes sense when you think about it. It's sort of, all right, look, for instance, let's take a situation where generosity is concerned. Do unto others as they would desire, to be done unto them. I see somebody who works really, really hard. I see somebody who works too hard, and they're in a situation where I've already witnessed them go out of their way to lift up those that ultimately thank God instead of thanking them in action, in form, and in esteem. I see a person getting taken advantage of, or I see a person not receiving an equivalent exchange. I give unto them what I would think that they are working for, what they would need. And that in turn makes me go, what a person is truly working for. I think that that's how I would look at it. If a person is looking for chaos, destruction, mayhem, pain, and misery, because that's what they want, you don't have to run out and give it to them. It may come to them. Maybe at that point, all you have to do is just step out of the way, But I think that, yeah.
Well, it highlights you are in a position to, again, it's whatever you will, thy will be done. Do as thou will is the whole of the law is love. And so whatever you choose, if you're in a situation or you encounter a being that's obviously in a destructive state and seems to want the destructive aspect imposed upon them, it's still your choice whether or not to impose.
Yeah.
Okay, they may desire this. Hell, they may even need it. Some people need destruction. It's part of the landscape, and it's your choice to whether you reciprocate, and it's the universe's choice whether to reciprocate. Okay, so case in point, relationship with the divine. Mine, I try to maintain to the best of my ability a very light-hearted relationship with the universe and the aspects, the other elementals, and everything. Let's keep it light, okay? Because from my perspective, a fundamental basis of existence is having fun. Okay?
Yes.
It's the fundamental basis of existence is not the acquisition of funds, the acquisition of things, and the transactionary interactions that we have with each other. It's fun. All right. If fun became fundamental to our meaning of life, how much fun would our society be? But anyways, I'm going off track here a little bit, but the the thing is the relationship it works both ways. Okay, you're dealing with wills on multiple levels, machinations on multiple levels with their own wills and own agendas.
Yes.
If you just go and say, I demand this weather event occur at this time and thy will be done, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Universe gonna take a look at you like, oh yeah, that what you want? Okay, well, how about the opposite happens on that day? Just to mess with you. Keep it light and keep it fun, but don't take your relationship with the universe for granted either. Um, there needs to be a common ground with everything. And so maybe if you desire this weather event to occur, sprinkle, a little cheer here, throw a little song, sing a little song to the clouds to go away, that kind of thing. Be nice to the universe and watch what happens.
And develop an intimate understanding of your intention. You know, you have to know what you want. You have to know what you're asking for. If you don't understand what you're trying to actually create and experience, how are you going to match the vibration of that experience at identifying the needs of the intention that you have? And I think that understanding that, you're still learning a bit more about your relationship with the universe and the function of the universe, because we're here nurturing and growing all of our creations as well. I think that some people have a tendency to struggle with that because they see something they like, they don't know what it is. They don't know how they're going to be. They don't know what exactly it takes to not only plant that seed, but to nurture that crop. And if we don't learn, if we don't want to learn, or if we are content with maybe a certain level cap in our knowledge, we're probably not going to get it. Or if we do get it, we're probably not going to keep it, because it's only a matter of time before it slips, it slips out of your fingers. For me, the relationship with the universe is one of, it's the closest thing I can think of. It's a relationship with your own body, and yeah, we treat our bodies in funny ways. Sometimes we don't eat the right thing, we don't give it enough sleep, we don't give it enough exercise. We might abuse it every once in a while with, like cigarettes or alcohol or whatever. And we always have a way to, turn that around. We always have an opportunity to turn that around or recover or put ourselves through a bit of a cleanse, restructure, reform, reset. And I think that our bodies also respond to the treatment we give it, in the very same way. When we are getting enough sleep, we have energy. However, if we decide to ply that with poison and, get hammered, probably going to get a hangover. That's just basically what you're putting into your body is what you're getting out of your body. Well, guess what? What you're putting into the universe is what you're getting out of the universe.
You've cracked open another nut, Nico, and that is the role intention plays in the fostering of relationship and creation within divine. And I do want to pose a question to you about intention, but unfortunately, I do think I have lost my train of thought in the example I make. So I'll just go ahead and ask the question about intention then. So you drive home a very sound point. One of the most repetitive points I've heard you make is clarify your intention. And you just highlighted the role intention plays in manifesting relationship and your creations. But a lot of people struggle with clarity of intention. What what do you think what do you think is the source of this block? Because if you understand intention, it is not a complex matter at all.
It's not. I think that the reason a lot of people have a block when it comes to setting their intention, well, there isn't really a singular reason. It may be that somebody is operating from a place of drive as opposed to conscious awareness of what they are trying to create. One of the things I think a lot of people struggle with is that they don't know how to, well, stop processing when they are being productive. And we've talked about that before in private. It's when it's time to state your intention and get to work, we can't sit down and let all of the emotions that are tied to our intention contaminate it, right? It's like cross-contaminating your cooking. Our emotions can do that, especially when you're dealing with a lot of unresolved issues, a lot of repressed issues, or maybe unresolved feelings about the intention that you have. If somebody thinks about abundance, money, wealth, and the first thing that happens is they can only think about not having money, or even with love and romance. If the thought of desiring a relationship suddenly just, shatters you on the inside because you're mourning the loss of a previous love or mourning a time spent without a romantic partner, you can't let that get into your work because that's what's going to stop you. I'm going to bring up another 80s fantasy movie really quickly. One of the best examples of statement of intent going wrong and then statement of intent going right is in, just the very beginning of Labyrinth. It's when Sarah, baby Jennifer Connelly, is about to go into the labyrinth. She meets, the goblin Hoggle. She's trying to get into the labyrinth and, she's asking all the wrong questions. I have the line here. One sec.
The fact remains that noticing things. Again, everything is connected, everything is one, everything is creation, and you have a subjective role in its manifestation. So
Hmm.
there's things in the reality that are available to you that will impart upon you guidance, wisdom, advice, understanding.
Hmm.
And the spirit of the muses manifests itself in our works of fiction. So here you are, Labyrinth, this seemingly just kids' fantasy movie,
Yeah.
just driving home the ages old universal wisdom. Explore the depth of your relationship and the potential depth of your relationship with the divine.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you asking the right questions? Well, what could I be noticed? What am I not looking for enough?
Hmm.
What's what, Play with it, have fun
Right.
with it. And when I say play, have fun, and lighthearted, this does not insinuate a shallow relationship at all. There is great depth that comes with fun, lightheartedness, and this kind of jovial connection. It's actually, you'll establish actually a more deeper and more co-signed connection through that lens as opposed to just a very serious, determined, linear, rational connection. Okay,
Yes.
you're boring. Okay, your request will just have to wait a little bit, Mister Rational, logistical,
Or you're not.
hyper intellectual, very one dimensional being here.
Right. It's kind of like you're dealing with, okay, either you're where what does that serve besides the ego, right? Because Mr. Smarty Pants wants to feel like the expert, and they know everything, so they've already got it all down. And usually people play dumb when they want to be babied. We'll forgive the character Sarah in this because she's 14, not 40. And the way this scene plays out, though, like I said, it's just such a perfect example. So she's going in, and after a small exchange with the character Hoggle, she asks, "Do you know where the door is?" And he says, "Maybe." Then she says, "Where is it?" And he says, "What?" And she says, "The door." And he says, "What door?" And then she says, "It's impossible asking you anything." And then he says, "Not if you ask the right questions." And then all she says is, "How do I get into the labyrinth?" And then he says, "That's more like it. You get in there." And then the walls open up and there's the door. Why do we overcomplicate the experience? You know?
Exactly. If you're hyper projecting a manifestation, you're doing so likely unnecessarily and wasting energy. Once the
I
intention is set, Nico, you know this. The
Yeah.
universe is already in motion. The
Right.
moment before you can even consciously ponder the intention you just made, the intention was made, and the universe is responding to it immediately.
Your higher levels are trying to assist you with becoming a higher level creator, somebody who is capable of spontaneous creation. When you just say what you're in, when you just ask for what you're really asking for, you don't dress it up, you're going to create a more intimate relationship with it. State your intent, charge that, hold that, really get into the zone, understanding that you got to be able to resonate with that on a vibrational level. What is it going to feel like? It's when all of the extra emotions, all of the extra complications, as well as the distractions to stating your intent comes in, that you don't state a very good intention at all. If you're just processing how poor you feel, or you're processing how frustrated you are that it's hard to get, or you're processing how difficult it's been to go without it,
Yeah, you're basically a
you
buffering,
disperse.
a delay, literally a buffering of the system upon yourself.
I mean, maybe this isn't the time. What exactly?
Exactly. And you just highlight a beautiful point. I don't mean to interrupt. If the universe seemingly rejects your requests or it doesn't happen, please be mindful of your responses and reactions to such a thing.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, and we're probably preaching to the choir to a lot of people hearing this, but the doors that seemingly shut are actually opportunities for more significant growth in another area or another direction or another point of awareness. Yeah, it's frustrating when the door's shut. You want to stomp your feet and you want to get mad at the universe. Why? Well, the universe has an answer for you because. And if you're willing to listen, you will be shown where your intent truly is meant to go. Some people just wallow in the frustration. It didn't work out exactly as I envisioned. Therefore, I have no real creative power. I'm just a meat suit robot.
Or maybe you have to take a good examination of what exactly is going on in your environment, in your space, in what you maintain that is ineligible for that experience or making you ineligible for that experience. Because if something is precluding a match, then it's precluding a match. Same thing when it comes to you're going to have to examine, all right, what in me on a spiritual, emotional, psychological level as well as what I'm keeping in my space, because the company that we keep does impart its own energy. When I say company, I don't just mean people. I also mean, again, what we expose ourselves to.
Yes, be mindful of all your inputs. And
Yeah,
inputs come from everything. Everything
right.
is pretty much a source of input because visually you're receiving the light waves. So
Yes.
everything is input.
So yeah, be mind. I like that. That's a really good way of putting it. That's way better way of putting it. If you are trying to heat up a pot of hot water to boil and somebody keeps throwing in ice cubes, it's going to take a little bit longer. So going to need to think about that and make those adjustments on that spiritual level. Yes, magic, manifestation. It occurs on the non-physical and the physical at the same time. It takes a healthy balance of both. I think a lot of people that I've observed, especially online, they just kind of make statements of circumstance. And
Yeah, they're essentially resigning themselves to the process and just
yeah,
wailing and venting.
I think that that's sort of the struggle, that a lot of people have. They can't actually zero in on what they desire. They can't really zero in on it and have a healthy relationship with it, bringing it all the way back to relationships, with the universe. What about your relationship with your creations? Do you have a health Are you going to create a healthy relationship with the job or the business you're trying to build? Are you going to create a healthy relationship with the body you want to have? Are you going to have a healthy relationship? Are you going to be a facilitator of a healthy relationship and environment for the partnership you want to have, whatever kind of partnership it is? You have to demonstrate to the universe that, you are a match. And the only way to know if you're a match is to understand what you're creating, because you have to be able to look, you have to be able to examine.
And I think part of that making changes, Nico, at least in part, involves being mindful and checking one's beliefs, belief systems, because frankly, if you perceive your creation as corrupted or it didn't work or it's not working or nothing's working, whatever it is, check your beliefs because for your creative relationship with the universe to really be optimized, you essentially need to go beyond belief into a state of knowing this is the nature of reality.
Yes.
Okay, beliefs have tremendous power. I dismiss the notion out there that it's better to not have any beliefs. I'm not on board with that. I think beliefs serve a purpose and function. It's just important to consider them always subject to change. Again, that's just my stance. But if your beliefs, if you don't really believe this is real, like deep down, if you think it's literally illusory, and I'm not,
Mm,
I use the term illusory, not imaginative. Mm-mm-mm, no, no.
yeah,
Well, then you basically believe you're partaking in an illusion. So why would any of your creations manifest and become real?
I like
Okay,
that.
so check those beliefs. Are you in or are you just, a meat suit robot? But the way I see it, those are the kind of camps I see.
Well, I mean, maybe
You're either an
that's
active participant in the creative process, an active, proactive, intentful participant in the creative process, or you're the opposite, an inactive, unintentful
I
creator of the
don't think that
process.
there's I don't think that there I mean, I think that that's actually a really good way to look at it, though. It almost looks like it's like a purity check. You're checking the purity of your intent. You're checking the purity of your experience, of your contribution to your experience. And when we go into that, then that's also a question of authenticity. And when we bring it back to the realm of relationships, well, oh my God, if you have an inauthentic relationship with the universe, an inauthentic relationship with yourself, then of
What do
course,
you think your creation's going to be?
what do you think
I'll
your
give you
creations are
three
going
clues and two of them don't count, people. Inauthentic.
that are actually precluding you from having the life that you want? There's your getting out of the maybe the contained reality experience within the contained reality experience. So your relationship with the universe, you can improve on it by also paying attention to where you have to do some serious therapy on the relationship you have with it now. And there are situations we live, in a time where
There's
people,
always room for improvement with one's relationship with everything.
yes. And I mean, yeah, there have been
And you
things.
and work is necessary to maintain the relationship.
Yes, it
There's a
is.
need to nurture and foster your relationship with the universe and everything. It isn't just some stagnant, inert thing. It's an
Oh,
active.
well, and we all have our own personal lessons that kind of illustrate
I
that.
mean, you really highlight, really good what I consider probably a closing point for the show here is that the universe exerts itself upon you as well. It wants
Yes.
to have a relationship with you too. So again, notice the things in your immediate environment, your dreams, everything that you experience. Notice the messages that the universe is sending to you. But do tread cautiously in terms of your interpretations of the messages because remember, we're dealing with a subjective component of reality here.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you misinterpret the universe, oh, you're screwed. You are the focal point of suffering in the universe now, and all these bad things are going to keep happening to you. The fact remains, regardless of whether your relationship with divinity has been maybe rocky, a little choppy, or smooth as silk, regardless, you can change your relationship with the universe at any moment, at any time. So, what's your relationship with the universe going to be? Figure it out. Let me know. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that, yeah, let us know in the comments.
So I think I do I have to depart, but
No, I
I
know.
think in closing, it's important to recognize. I really think the eligibility component is very important. Okay, what are you eligible for in your relationship with divinity? Realistically, I mean that's an assessment that anyone can take at any time. Once you recognize is what you're eligible for, what do you want?
I think that the eligibility, what are you eligible for a relationship with your divine, goes right back to what you said earlier. How are you treating the divine? Is it a cosmic cash machine or a cosmic dating service? Or is it your God self? Isn't it, or, is it infinite creation, prime creator? Until you realize which one you're doing, that's all you're going to have.
Absolutely. So when it comes to relationships with the divine, do a relationship check. Check yourself.
Yeah.
Is it suitable for you? If so, great. How can you improve it? If it's not, well, what needs to happen to make that better? And it's always subject to change. It's always evolving, and it's however you want. And just remember, the universe also has its own will and is going to relate to you in its own manner too. So I think that's all for now, Nico. I'll
I
talk
think
to you
that is
soon.
all for now. That is a lot. That is a lot to feast on.
Absolutely.
There's a lot here. It is this was a veritable buffet. And so I hope you all enjoy your victuals. I'm going to say goodnight to Rob, and we will be back again soon with more integrative mysticism. And, let us know if there are any questions or things you want us to touch back on, or, what comes up for you.
Stay peaceful.
Take care.